Several people have been killed and injured as 4 explosions hit Iran on Saturday amid heightened tension in the region. One explosion occurred in Ahvaz in southwestern Khuzestan province where 4 people were killed after an alleged gas explosion in a residential unit. Local media quoted the fire department as saying that work was underway to rescue those left under debris. A second explosion took place in Bandar Abbas, southern Hormozgan province. Video footage shared in social media featured the aftermath of the explosion, with the site of the incident covered with rubble and glass. Regional authorities said the blast was caused by an explosion at an 8-story building located on Molam Boulevard, while stressing that it was unrelated to any other incidents. According to Reuters, 1 person was killed and 14 others were injured in the blast. In addition, 10 vehicles parked near the building were damaged as a result of the blast. 2 more explosions occurred in Karaj and Paran neighborhood of capital Tehran. Meanwhile, Iran's Tasnim news agency denied reports that Ali Reza Tangsiri, the commander of the IRGC Navy, had been killed in the blast. The explosions come amid heightened tension in the region as the U.S. builds up its military presence in the Middle East. It also follows nationwide anti-government protests that started on December 28 over economic problems.
این از شهریار دقیقا همین 1 ساعت پیش شروع شد. من اون طرف رو میشناسم، منطقه نظامی.
بچه ها همینه توی بندر عباس یه جا رو زدن بلوار معلم، همه مردم تو خیابون آتش نشانی. خیلی صدای عجیبی غریب. وای این ساختمونه رو زدن. وای 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 وای.
بندر عباس بلوار معلم، معلوم نیست چی بود، پهپاد بود، موشک بود، نمیدونم چی بود، زد دیگه دالا.
اینجا ساختمان بهارستان هست در خیابان بهارستان واقع در بندر عباس. ساعتی پیش بر اثر یک انفجار شدید همینطور که میبینید چند طبقه از این ساختمان تخریب شده و شدت انفجار هم به حدی بوده که به مغازه‌های اطراف آسیب رسانده و چند نفر هم مصدوم شدن. از تعداد جانباختگان هنوز خبری در دست نیست. نیروهای امدادی هم در حال امداد رسانی هستند.
اومدم بالاتر از یه ساختمون. چی بوده خدایا؟ تمام این ساختمون شیشه ها شکسته بالا. و قلب اومد تو دهنمون پشت خونه ما. چی بوده این اصلا؟
As tensions soar over Iran's bloody crackdown on nationwide protests, satellite images show activity at 2 Iranian nuclear sites bombed last year by Israel and the United States that may be a sign of Tehran trying to obscure efforts to salvage any materials remaining there. According to Associated Press, the images from Planet Labs' PBC show roofs have been built over 2 damaged buildings at the Isfahan and Natanz facilities, the first major activity noticeable by satellite at any of the country's stricken nuclear sites since Israel's 12-day war with Iran in June. Those coverings block satellites from seeing what's happening on the ground right now. The only way for inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency to monitor the sites, as Iran has prevented access. Iran has not publicly discussed the activity at the two sites. The IAEA, a watchdog agency of the United Nations, did not respond to requests for comment. U.S. President Donald Trump repeatedly has demanded Iran negotiate a deal over its nuclear program to avert threatened American military strikes over the country's crackdown on protesters. The U.S. has moved the USS Abraham Lincoln and several guided missile destroyers into the Middle East, but it remains unclear whether Trump will decide to use force. The new roofs do not appear to be a sign of reconstruction starting at the heavily damaged facilities, experts who examined the site said. Instead, they are likely part of Iran's efforts to assess whether key assets such as limited stocks of highly enriched uranium survived the strikes, said Andrea Stricker, who studies Iran for the Washington-based Foundation for Defense of Democracies, which has been sanctioned by Tehran. They want to be able to get at any recovered assets they can get to without Israel or the U.S. seeing what survived, she said. Prior to Israel launching a 12-day war with Iran in June, the Islamic Republic had 3 major nuclear sites associated with its program. Iran long has insisted its nuclear program is peaceful. However, Iranian officials in recent years have increasingly threatened to pursue the bomb. The West and the IAEA say Iran had an organized nuclear weapons program up until 2003. The Natanz site, some 220 kilometers south of the capital, is a mix of above and below-ground laboratories that did the majority of Iran's uranium enrichment. Before the war, the IAEA said Iran used advanced centrifuges there to enrich uranium up to 60%, a short, technical step from weapons-grade levels of 90%. Some of the material is presumed to have been on site for when the entire complex was attacked. The facility outside the city of Isfahan was mainly known for producing the uranium gas that is fed into centrifuges to be spun and purified. A third site, Fordo, some 95 kilometers southwest of the capital, housed a hardened enrichment site under a mountain. During last year's war, Israel targeted the sites first, followed by U.S. strikes using bunker-busting bombs and Tomahawk cruise missiles.